Alright, so maybe you've just published a video that got about maybe 10 views, maybe even less, maybe just 1 or 2 views. Truthfully, that's exactly what happened to me recently. You know, I published an article and I haven't gotten any reads on these articles. The same way I published a YouTube video recently and I worked hard on it. You know, it was basically about me teaching copywriting and how to write hooks that will leave your audience mesmerized and spellbound. And I only got 2 views. 2 views. And you know, at this point, it doesn't really matter anymore. You know, I can get 2 views, 1 view, 0 views, and that won't stop me from hitting that publish button. It used to be that I was so conscious of it, you know. I would start and stop. Start publishing videos, stop when I thought it wasn't working, and then start again when I get that itch once again, and then stop again. But at this point, you know, it doesn't matter. Stats don't matter. Analytics don't matter. I mean, sure, we live in a world where the algorithms have taken over our content. And sometimes we have to cater to those algorithms. And honestly, while that's all good and fine and works for other people, it's not something that I want to do. And it's not something that you should be chasing after as well. You know, so when I say that you should publish your videos, even when nobody sees them, the message here that I want to give is basically that your work matters. Even if just one person sees it, even if just 2 people see it, it matters. And I'll tell you why. So in his book, Real Artists Don't Starve, Jeff Goins has this example, a case study basically, of this girl who loves to draw, and she loves to draw cartoons. And what she would do is that she would write or draw rather inspirational cartoons, motivational cartoons basically. And she started to do this and post it online, and then she started to gain an audience from it. I mean, when you think about it, it's very niche, it's very random. You wouldn't really think to have or to make a business out of that, but she did. What she did is that she basically put her audience on an email list. And in this email list, she promised that she would send them like an inspirational drawing, I think every day. Yeah. And eventually, this email list, because she kept sending all these drawings, she turned that into a book, which she then started selling. And so she basically made a living out of her art. This small thing, such a small thing, just small drawings and caricatures, it mattered to all these people and it made a difference in their lives. I mean, it motivated them and it helped them during their day-to-day. And that's something that your work can do, even if just one person sees it. You know, I used to run a blog, a personal blog, where I interviewed local artists. And I asked them about their creative process and how they struggled, or what they did when they struggled with creating their art. And some of the answers were really profound, you know? And so I'd share this with an email list as well, and with my audience. And, you know, I think I only got one email back from one of my subscribers who said that, you know, initially, when she signed on to our email list, she didn't know what she was going to expect, and she was surprised actually to find that some of these articles that we were posting and that we were sending to them were actually helping her throughout a time in her life that wasn't really that great. She herself was struggling with her art, you know, she was having a hard time putting it out there. I guess because of certain fears that we all have as artists to put our work out there and then get feedback that maybe some people don't like them or some people don't appreciate them. And these interviews and these articles were helpful to her. And so you never know who you might impact when you put your work out there. You never know what might happen or who might feel motivated or inspired to take action because of the things that you put out there. And so, you know, don't try to hide your talent, your wisdom, and try to bring it out even more. You know, there's this image in the Bible that Jesus makes as an example, where you don't light a candle and then hide it under a bowl. You know, what's the purpose? What's the point of lighting a candle when you're just going to cover the light that it gives off? And you're the candle. You know, however you might think of yourself and your work and your art, maybe you think it's not good enough. But when you begin to shine your light, try your best not to hide it away. Because as small or as short, or I don't know what's the term for it, the range basically of the candlelight. How far does candlelight really illuminate? How much does it illuminate? Not much, when you think about it. And that's all right, you know, you can touch only a handful of people. But if the work you do is able to touch them in a profound way, it matters. And it will just ripple out. Because, you know, when you think about stars and the way that they give off light, and we see their light, we see them twinkling in the sky, but their light is probably billions of years old, millions of years old when it reaches us, right? But it's reached us one way or another. Same with candlelight, you know, or a fire out in the woods. It may be small when you're looking at it from a distance, but it still matters. It's able to give off light and it's able to illuminate some parts of this dark wood. So maybe there are people around you who are in that dark wood that are looking for a light to guide them or a star to guide them. And you're a tiny star. Don't hide away your light. Don't hide away your work. You know, just hit publish, even if nobody sees it. Because eventually somebody will. It may take some time, maybe not a million years, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it just takes time for people to find your work and realize, you know, how much they've missed or how much it would have helped them to have seen this work before. And if you hide it away and if you don't share your work, that change might have never happened. I mean, I think of another example in Steven Pressfield's The War of Art, in his book, The War of Art. He talks about Hitler, and it may surprise you to know that Hitler actually wanted to be an artist. And he applied, you know, he applied to artist schools, and he was rejected repeatedly. And, you know, Steven Pressfield makes the case that Hitler was probably too afraid to chase after his art that he decided to start World War instead. It's a crazy claim. Yeah, but when you think about it, what would have happened if Hitler had chosen to pursue his art instead, despite it being difficult, despite it being a struggle to get it out there? Wouldn't the world have been better? It certainly would have. We would have been better off without a world war if Hitler had only chosen to pursue his art. So I mean, that's how important it is to pursue your passions and how important it is to, I believe at least, to pursue what it is that lights you up. Because what lights you up will light others up. And so if you're struggling now and you're hesitating, stop hesitating. Like me, you know, 2 views, whatever. You just keep doing it. And, you know, I think you won't regret it, just as I'm not regretting it right now. I think that eventually you'll come to appreciate the fact that you are able to do something for other people, even if it's just a small handful.